I think to carry on from my point just now, we see as a independent third party technology vendor and kind of supplier of best practice, a lot more clients struggling with installers. And you may say, well, why is that a big problem? Why does it matter that my installer doesn't work? Because I'll just try it again and again and again. But actually, a lot of these problems are exposing larger problems further down the line. So if you can't update your software, if you can't install the latest and greatest, your end users, your enterprises won't be running the latest and greatest technologies. And that may well mean that it's not quite as nice an experience, but actually more importantly, as we'll see later, that will open that company up to vulnerabilities and problems. So, this will also have repercussions throughout the business. So a lot of clients will see a raise in support costs. A lot of those support costs will probably be to do with very easy to fix things like getting on the latest versions of drivers or the software technologies inside those products. But if people can't update their software, and if you as a vendor don't really put this in your radar, then you're going to start getting customer problems. You're going to get customer satisfaction issues. You're going to have customer retention issues because people will just walk away and use another product perhaps. But as I say, more importantly, it's going to leave your software open to vulnerabilities. And they may not manifest themselves in anything particularly visible at the outset, but this, as we know, can often sow the seed for problems later on. And a little statistic down here that actually known vulnerabilities, and that's important because there are known vulnerabilities and unknown vulnerabilities, account for about 60% of data breaches. And that's all fixable, that's all avoidable, and at the very least we can minimize and dilute the impact of that. So we talk about how we do this. We do this in a planned way. We mustn't do it in a fire and forget way. A lot of us remember not that long ago, there were problems with CrowdStrike, and not picking on them particularly, but they were the most recent highly visible example of this, where companies deployed software without really thinking about the repercussions of that. And if you peel that back to the next layer down, it was clear that there weren't any plans, there weren't any testing and strategy around how that piece of software can get applied into the environment, what happens on a success, what happens on a failure. Back in the day when I used to do programming, which is a while ago, you'd often have code written through a nice successful flow, but you'd also have things called exceptions, and you'd have to handle those exceptions. And that's really what we're talking about. And having to think ahead, dare we say, use the D word, the design word in this environment, to help make sure that we fully understand the repercussions of a successful deployment and an unsuccessful deployment. And a few years ago, I think we're talking 7 or 8 years ago, here in the UK, so I'm based out of London in the UK, our National Health Service was brought down for the best part of a week or 2 weeks because essentially the virus got onto the machines. And the virus got onto the machines, as these things always do, because of a poorly managed desktop estate. That's the bottom line. And it was a classic case, as it is in quite a lot of big businesses, where there's no real clear responsibility of who should pick up these things. So let's talk a little bit about how we would do that in this considered way. Before we do that, let's talk a bit about what are the common things I see when I talk to clients. I talk to clients, big and small software vendors, specialist software vendors with just a few hundred customers of their own, large multinational enterprises. And their perception is that I don't really need to do anything, it'll solve itself. If I put my head in the sand, if I look the other way, it's just going to solve itself. Will it work? Like a lot of things in life, we need to attack this head on. It may well not be something you need to fix today. It may well be something you can't fix today. But certainly giving a considered view as to actually where the responsibility lies. And if you're the vendor of a software package, it's your responsibility to make sure that can be used by your clients in the most successful way possible. people always, and this is due to a lack of understanding, really. People, on the second point here, people think there's nothing I can do about it without causing a big disruption. A lot of the time, that's just a lack of knowledge and understanding, which is completely understandable. That's really why organizations like us at TLux, that's why we exist, because we do this every day of our working life. We specialize in helping clients de-risk this kind of operation, help de-risk, migrate to the latest technologies. So your end users, and therefore the subsequent desktops that we're managing, because we're ultimately talking about end user desktops, making sure they're as reliable as possible. And on the Revenera side, Revenera are the makers of Install Shield. Well, Install Shield is the de facto standard in making installations. It always has been. It always will be. There's a massive market out there. So who best to help guide us through, the best ways to make the best technology work in the best way for you? Again, classic example, it's out of my control. I don't have the skills, right? And there are many ways you can attack this, but I think before you do that, you have to understand what the problem is that you're looking at. You can't solve a problem until you understand it. And certainly, again, from the Revenera perspective, Revenera have a great global support team working all around the clock to help clients every day of the week. Revenera has a very innovative product platform that Pushpa is responsible for. And then side by side with TLux, there's a whole bunch of options around training and consulting that you can look on our website to learn more about. I really think into the next topic, I don't know where to start, right? And again, it's an end user problem. It's not my problem. Well, it might be an end user problem, but actually you own that problem, because until the day there's nobody else who can fix it apart from yourselves. You're the software vendors, you're in the driving seat, and we're here to help.